Pay attention to this footage. Hospital security camera, room 412, November 3rd, 2023, 11:47 p.m. A woman lies in the bed, oxygen tube, heart monitor beeping, eyes closed. She's dying. Doctors have given her 3 weeks, maybe less. Her husband sits beside her, holding her hand. The devoted spouse. Everyone at the hospital calls him a saint. Watch what happens when the night nurse walks in. He stands up, walks toward her, and 3 feet from his dying wife's bed, while her heart monitor beeps in the background, he kisses the nurse. Deep, passionate, like they've done this 100 times before. They have. What the hospital cameras captured that night would become the centerpiece of a murder trial. Because Rachel Whitmore didn't die from her illness. She died from her husband's impatience. 3 weeks was too long to wait. So Mark Whitmore made sure she didn't last that long. And the woman he was kissing? She helped him do it. March 2021, Tampa, Florida. Rachel Whitmore is 34 years old, marketing director, marathon runner. The kind of person who wakes up at 5 a.m. to exercise before work. Then she starts dropping things, her coffee cup, her keys, her balance on the stairs. At first, she thinks it's stress, then exhaustion, then maybe a pinched nerve. The diagnosis comes in June, ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, progressive, incurable, terminal, average life expectancy after diagnosis, 2 to 5 years. Rachel's case is aggressive. Doctors give her 18 months, maybe 2 years if she's lucky. Her husband, Mark, 39, is devastated. At least that's what everyone believes. He quit his job to take care of her, moved her hospital bed into the living room, hired round-the-clock nursing care. Everyone said he was the perfect husband. For the first year, Mark plays the role flawlessly. He feeds Rachel when she can no longer hold a spoon. He bathes her when she can no longer stand. He reads to her when her eyes get too tired. But 6 months into the diagnosis, something changes. A new night nurse joins the rotation. Her name is Bethany Cole. She's 27 years old, and within 3 weeks, she's sleeping with Rachel's husband. To understand what was taken from Rachel Whitmore, you need to understand who she was before the disease. Rachel was the most alive person I ever knew. She ran marathons. She traveled constantly. She was training for an Ironman when she got diagnosed. The cruelty of ALS taking someone like her, it felt like the universe was playing a sick joke. Rachel met Mark at a charity 5K in 2015. He wasn't a runner. He was volunteering at the water station. She stopped to grab a cup and ended up talking to him for 20 minutes. Crossed the finish line dead last. Didn't care. She always said that was the best race she ever lost. She found Mark. That was worth more than any medal. They got married in 2017. Small ceremony. Beach wedding. Rachel wore sneakers under her dress because heels are for people who don't know how to have fun. They seemed so happy. Mark wasn't as ambitious as Rachel, but she didn't mind. She made enough money for both of them. She just wanted someone who would support her dreams. And Mark seemed like that guy. But there were signs, even before the diagnosis, that Mark wasn't who he appeared to be. He always seemed a little too interested in her life insurance policy. Asked about it on their second anniversary. She thought it was just him being responsible. Looking back, it was something else. When Rachel got sick, Mark saw something he'd never had before. A clear path to $2.5 million. Rachel's life insurance policy, the house, her investments, everything. All he had to do was wait. But waiting wasn't Mark's strong suit. The affair between Mark Whitmore and Bethany Cole lasted 18 months. 18 months of lies. 18 months of pretending to care for a dying woman while planning a future without her. Month 1. September 2021. The meeting, Bethany Cole joins the nursing rotation at the Whitmore home. Night shift, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Her job is to monitor Rachel, adjust her medications, help her if she needs anything while Mark sleeps. She was young, pretty. Mark noticed immediately, and Bethany noticed Mark noticing. The first week is professional. The second week, they start talking. Mark tells her how hard it is, how lonely, how he loves his wife but feels like he's already grieving someone who's still alive. It's the oldest trick in the book, playing the wounded husband, making the young nurse feel special because she's the only one who understands. Bethany fell for it completely. By week 3, they're sleeping together, in the guest room, while Rachel lies paralyzed in the living room, unable to call for help even if she knew. 17 months remain. Month 6, February 2022, the planning. The affair is no longer just physical. Mark and Bethany are talking about the future, their future. They'd stay up all night while Rachel slept, talking about what they'd do with the money, the house they'd buy, the trips they'd take. Like Rachel was already dead. Text messages recovered later showed the progression. February 3rd. I can't do this much longer. Watching her decline. It's killing me. February 14th. Valentine's Day. I wish we could just be together. Without all this. February 28th. How much longer do you think she has? Bethany's response. Months, maybe a year. Her breathing is getting worse. Mark's reply. A year feels like forever. 12 months remain. Month 12, August 2022. The resentment. Rachel's decline has slowed. The aggressive timeline doctors predicted hasn't materialized. She's stable. Weak, but stable. Mark is furious. He actually complained about it to Bethany. Said Rachel was taking too long, like her survival was an inconvenience. Text messages from this period. August 5th. Another 6 months of this. I can't. August 12th. What if there was a way to speed things up? August 19th. I've been reading about medication interactions. With her condition, it would look natural. Bethany doesn't discourage him. She sends back a simple response. Tell me more. 6 months remain. Month 18, February 2023. The decision, Rachel is moved to Tampa General Hospital. Her condition has worsened, naturally this time. Doctors estimate 3 to 6 months. Not fast enough for Mark. He visited every day, brought flowers, held her hand. The nurses all said what a wonderful husband he was. Meanwhile, he and Bethany were texting about dosages. The plan is simple. Bethany has access to Rachel's medications. A slight increase in her sedatives, combined with a decrease in her respiratory support, would cause her to stop breathing in her sleep. Peaceful, natural looking, untraceable. March 15th. Mark texts Bethany. Next week, when you're on night shift, make it look like she just slipped away. Bethany's response, I love you. Mark's response, I love you too. This is almost over. 1 week remains. What Mark and Bethany didn't know was that Rachel had been awake for more of their conversations than they realized. ALS affects the body, not the mind. Rachel couldn't move, could barely speak, but she could hear, and she could think. She knew. Maybe not all of it, but she knew something was wrong. The way Mark looked at Bethany. The whispered conversations that stopped when they thought she was listening. She knew her husband had already moved on. In February 2023, during one of her more lucid periods, Rachel asked her sister Amanda to visit, alone, without Mark. She could barely talk at that point. Every word was a struggle. But she looked at me and said, "He's going to kill me. Him and the nurse. Don't let them get away with it." Amanda didn't want to believe it. Her brother-in-law, the man who quit his job to care for Rachel? But she couldn't ignore her sister's words. She contacted a lawyer, quietly, in secret. On March 10th, 2023, Rachel signed a new will, new beneficiary for the $2.5 million life insurance policy. Amanda and her children. Mark would receive nothing. She also signed a notarized statement. "If I die under suspicious circumstances, investigate my husband Mark Whitmore and my nurse Bethany Cole. I believe they intend to harm me." Rachel couldn't stop them from killing her, but she could make sure they didn't profit from it. 5 days later, Rachel was dead. March 15th, 2023, 2:34 a.m., Tampa General Hospital, room 412. Bethany Cole is working the night shift. She's been assigned to Rachel's floor, not by accident. She switched shifts with another nurse specifically to be there tonight. Mark left the hospital at 10 p.m., making a show of kissing Rachel's forehead and telling her he'd be back in the morning. The devoted husband, going home to get some rest. What no one knew was that he'd be back at 2 a.m., through a side entrance, avoiding the main security cameras. Hospital footage would later show Mark entering through a service door at 2:17 a.m. He takes the stairs, not the elevator. He's wearing dark clothes, a baseball cap. He knows where the cameras are. He meets Bethany in the hallway outside Rachel's room. They talk briefly. She hands him something small, a syringe. Then they enter room 412 together. The camera in Rachel's room captured everything. Mark approaching the bed, Bethany adjusting the IV, Mark holding Rachel's hand, not out of love, but to feel for her pulse, to know when it stopped. At 2:47 a.m., Rachel Whitmore's heart monitor flatlines. Bethany calls the code. Doctors rush in. They try to resuscitate. It's too late. Mark arrives at 3:15 a.m., pretending he just got the call. He cries. He holds Rachel's body. He thanks the doctors for trying. He played the grieving husband perfectly. If we didn't have the footage, we might have believed him, but the hospital did have footage. Of Mark entering at 2:17 a.m., of Bethany handing him the syringe, of both of them in Rachel's room when she died. And they had something else. Rachel's letter. The one she signed 5 days earlier. The one that said exactly who would kill her and why. The autopsy found lethal levels of sedatives in Rachel's system, 3 times the prescribed dose. Cause of death: respiratory failure due to medication overdose. Mark Whitmore and Bethany Cole were arrested on March 22, 2023, 1 week after Rachel's death. Both were charged with first-degree murder. The trial began in October 2023. The prosecution's case was built on 3 pillars: the text messages, the hospital footage, and Rachel's letter. She testified from beyond the grave. That letter, that statement she signed, it told the jury exactly what happened. Rachel knew she was going to die. She just made sure her killers wouldn't get away with it. The hospital footage was played for the jury. Mark entering through the service door. Bethany handing him the syringe. Both of them in Rachel's room at 2:34 a.m. And then the footage from November, months earlier. The kiss. Mark and Bethany, 3 feet from Rachel's bed, while she lay dying. The jury audibly gasped. One woman started crying. You could see it on their faces. They hated him. They hated both of them. Mark's defense tried to blame Bethany. Said she manipulated him. Said she was the one who increased the dosage. Said Mark was just a grieving husband who made a terrible mistake. Bethany's defense tried to blame Mark, said he pressured her. Said he threatened to report her to the nursing board if she didn't help. said she was a victim too. Neither story held up. The text messages showed mutual planning. The footage showed mutual participation. They were partners in everything, including murder. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty, both of them. First-degree murder. Mark Whitmore was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Bethany Cole was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. When the sentences were read, Mark finally broke. He sobbed. He said he was sorry. He said he loved Rachel. It was too late for apologies. Rachel had been dead for 7 months, and everyone in that courtroom knew he wasn't sorry for killing her. He was sorry for getting caught. Rachel Whitmore had 3 weeks to live. 3 weeks. 21 days. That's all Mark had to wait. After 18 months of watching his wife die slowly, he couldn't wait 21 more days. He'd already taken everything from her. Her independence, her dignity, her trust. And at the end, he took the only thing she had left, the chance to die on her own terms. Rachel knew what was coming. She couldn't stop it. But she made sure the truth would survive her. That letter, that will, that video of her fully lucid, explaining what her husband and her nurse were planning. She fought back the only way she could, from a hospital bed, unable to move, unable to speak. She still found a way to make sure they didn't win. Mark Whitmore got nothing. No insurance money, no house, no future with Bethany. Bethany Cole got nothing. No wealthy husband, no new life. Just a prison cell and a nursing license that will never be valid again. Amanda, Rachel's sister, used part of the inheritance to start a foundation in Rachel's name. The Rachel Whitmore Foundation for ALS research. The first fundraiser featured the hospital footage. The footage of Mark and Bethany kissing beside Rachel's bed. They called it She Knew, She Fought Back. It raised $400,000 in one night. Rachel Whitmore was 36 years old when she died. She had ALS. She was going to die anyway. But she deserved to die surrounded by people who loved her, not people who were counting down the days until she was gone. Mark Whitmore couldn't wait 3 weeks. Now he'll wait forever.